Hello everybody. This is a video I've wanted to make for a long time, but also been pretty scared to. Not scared, apprehensive. Same thing, right? You guys have probably noticed, if you've followed my channel for a while, that I have a habit of dropping off the face of the planet for a long time. Ooh, this is hard. I just wanted to try and kind of explain my mindset about things and maybe explain to you so you can understand a little bit more about why I just disappear a lot, which I know is terrible of me, especially when I'm trying to maintain a YouTube community. Coming back, I've lost a lot of that because I was gone for so long. Not that that's a huge deal. That's not, why I'm doing it, but maintaining a YouTube channel is something that I'm sort of passionate about, that I want to do. It's just hard for me, and I'm going to explain why. Okay, so first off, this isn't me trying to self-diagnose anything on myself. Please don't self-diagnose. It makes people with real problems feel unvalidated. It's a little selfish. Just don't do it. With mental issues and stuff like that, it's all about your head, and you are definitely not the person who should be diagnosing yourself, if that makes sense. Your mindset is not in the place to be like, oh yeah, this is wrong. So I was just trying to say that this is not me trying to self-diagnose myself. For the sake of helping you understand it, I'm going to use some broad terms. Just a little FYI. I suffer from a state of mind called dissociation. It has a lot of different names, depersonalization, derealization, and they are real mental things that I've just in the past couple of years started learning about. And like I said, no one has officially diagnosed me with this, so this is just me gathering what I can and describing it with what words I have at my disposal. Basically, how I feel all the time is really spaced out. It's really hard to describe, but it's like staying up for 3 days and you're extremely sleep deprived and your brain is on autopilot. You don't feel fully yourself. Like, you see yourself moving and hear yourself talking, but it doesn't feel like a conscious decision. You don't feel completely in control. Throughout the years that I've dealt with it, I've come up with a couple different creative ways of explaining it. So, when you have a pair of latex gloves on, or you're washing dishes or cleaning or something like that, you can still feel things. You can still feel the shape of an object and how hard or soft it is, and most of what the object is, but you can't feel it to the capacity that you would normally be able to feel it. That's how I feel. I feel like the world around me that I'm getting, the version of the world that I'm living in, is a very diluted one. Sort of feel numb in a sense. This is gonna sound real strange, but it's almost like an out-of-body experience where you just feel like someone else is running you a lot, and you're kind of the backseat in a lot of things. Like I said, you're on autopilot and you're kind of just doing. A lot of my life doesn't feel like conscious. I feel not grounded, not present a lot. I'm sorry if I didn't describe that very well. It's very hard to describe. How it affects me is I've had to say no a lot. I've had to say no to a lot of family outings and friends. I have friends. Just a lot of other things because I don't want to go experience things because I feel like I'm not going to experience them. I'm just going to be there and not absorb anything, if that makes sense. I'm explaining this really terribly. It often takes any bit of motivation I have. Well, you guys would know, when you feel so sleep deprived, your ambition is zero. And you don't feel creative. I don't feel creative a lot. I have so much I want to create, but I don't feel like I have the means to express it because I feel shallow. It wouldn't be coming from a place of feeling, because I kind of feel numb and spacey a lot. I also get really annoyed. I am scared that I'll never feel grounded and present, like completely. I am afraid I'll never know a life that I feel is potent and vivid, that I'll have moments that I feel like I can hold and absorb and it won't just fly past my head. I do want to point out that this grand scheme of things, I guess, is not that big a deal. I can live life spacey. There's a lot of people with a lot of issues and things that they can't live with if they go on. I am learning and I'm managing. It took me a while to figure out what was going on and what I was feeling and how to manage that well. I let the state of being depersonalized make a lot of bad decisions for me, I guess. Like, I would make decisions I wouldn't normally make because I felt not myself. What I'm doing for it, I have been trying to figure it out. The first time I remember feeling the depersonalization really strongly was when I was 13, and I had a little bout of it for a few days where I just slept, and every time I woke up I would cry because I felt so extremely sleep deprived. So I'd sleep more and it didn't help. It was just that mental state of not feeling present, and it was alarming. I'm nearly 20 now, and I've found much healthier ways to deal with things. I know how to look for these things, and I know that it's not like who I am. This isn't me. It's something that's happening to me, and that's a lot different. Ways I've been trying to figure it out. I have seen an allergist, which seems dumb, but it turns out I'm allergic to like every kind of tree, which makes sense. You know, when allergies get bad and your head feels all swimmy, the seasonal allergies may have been contributing to how spacey I feel. I also went to a counselor. I found a therapist, and I had one session with her before I found out she wasn't in my insurance. So I'm trying to find another one, but it was a very good step for me. She pointed out that a lot of my derealization stuff might be due to traumatic things happening, and that's how my brain has decided to respond and process those things. So my next step is breaking down the traumatic things and figuring out why my head acts the way it does, and then to prevent it and combat it accurately. Knowing my triggers, and she gave me lots of helpful tools and apps and things you can do to ground yourself. When I feel really spacey, sometimes I'll do things so I can feel them. Like, I'll go outside and press my hands onto the cold concrete or the hot concrete and just feel something. I have something in my throat. Another good way is to focus on one of your senses and write down or narrate in your head exactly, specifically what you see or what you smell. I know I said depersonalization isn't a huge deal in the scope of mental illnesses, but there are some pros and cons to it not being as severe. Of course, if everyone generally knows the broad term depression, and they can understand automatically a little bit of what you're talking about when you say that word. There's also lots of medications and things specifically for that, but because depersonalization isn't as extreme, and I guess it might be just, like, people are just starting to come to terms that this is not, like, I just found out what it was a few years ago, and I was like, aha, that's me. I do that. I have that. And I felt validated in that fact that there was someone else who experienced the same things and was like, hey, that's actually not normal. So with like smaller things like that, you don't often have that of a lot of people being like, yes, I understand. Also, there's not treatments for derealization yet. I think there's some experimental ones, but there's no like pill they can give you to just make you stop feeling spacey. What I'm doing now is learning about it and trying to cope with it, and cope is a bad word. Learning with it. I'm learning. I'm living, and I'm trying to say yes to things more, and I'm trying to be open about my mental state and my feelings. Gross. And that, my friends, is why I disappear so often. Because when I feel spacey, this lack of creativity happens, this lack of motivation, and that means procrastinating and not editing when I'm supposed to, and that means not posting, and that means it gets overwhelming, and I just stop. And that's why I don't have videos out when they're supposed to be. For like months. I dropped off YouTube for months and months. Sorry about that. I can't promise I'm gonna stop that. I'm still trying to figure things out, and while I do figure things out, my YouTube videos will probably not be consistent, and that's okay. But I just wanted to let you know a little bit of why I disappeared. It's not because I don't care about the toast community. You guys rock, and I hope whatever you're dealing with, you go and search out the help you need, because there's lots of steps and there's lots of people beside you willing to take those steps with you. I have an amazing support group, support people around me, and this has been an adventure, and I'm learning a lot about myself, and I'm excited to live vividly. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all again very soon.